Welcome to the first book out of the Or Die series, financial book called Be Cheap or Die. Basics that will develop the ability to propel into your financial freedom, by author Kingston A.V. This book was written to highlight the different ways to make savvy financial decisions and strategic methods to begin building wealth. In doing so, it takes finances to acquire financial stability, and this book sheds light on maneuvering past basic obstacles that arise while developing those finances. One must emerge a routine of making educated judgments and then establish a firm foundation upon which wealth will be built. I am not a financial advisor, nor am I in any way giving professional financial advice. I am solely highlighting practices I have used to establish my own financial stability. Thank you for reading and enjoy. Chapter 1. Cheap versus frugal. Cheap mindset. I know some might see the title of this chapter and ask themselves, cheap versus frugal, aren't they one and the same? What are the differences between the two? In my personal opinion, there are major differences. Someone who is cheap would be defined as a person who would avoid spending money within any circumstance. They will hesitate to come out of pocket for anything, whether be it minute or substantial. Here's the thing about the cheap mindset. It will actually do more damage than good. While taking the time to build your savings is essential, there may come a time in which you have the option to invest and potentially maximize that savings. This mindset could also lead to a life of unhappiness. If you choose to steer clear of expending money instead of occasionally hanging out with friends or family, not going for a night out with your significant other, deciding not to purchase that gift for your child that they will cherish and remember for the rest of their life, or if you have a close friend that is in need of a little help or in a financial bind that you can cure, and you select to not help them because of your cheapness. All of these scenarios could place strains on your relationships, which will hamper your overall well-being. Don't ever miss out on the opportunities to create memories. When you have the ability to build with loved ones by making certain purchases, yet you prefer not to due to a mentality absorbed within selfishness, a creation of disappointments will be integrated into the future of the people in your life. This despondency may lead to you losing the individuals you cherish and the people who play integral parts in your existence. Imagine how stress/distress/less motivated you'd be without them. Would you rather be cheap or lonely? It is up to you. Frugal mindset. Now, I'm not saying that you should make all of your financial decisions based upon the feelings of your loved ones. Also, definitely do not plan to go out every weekend or weekday. You must be calculated and use the finesse approach when it comes to your finances. This now leads me to the aforementioned frugal mindset. This mindset is the cheap mindset, more accomplished and successful protege. The frugal outlook is what happens when you take away the pros of being cheap and discard all of the cons. The good habits like saving your money are essential. The initial thought before making a purchase is prioritizing. Will this create more good than bad? When being frugal, you assess the overall outcome of the purchase, and you pay attention to how everything or everyone involved will be in the long run, and let that dictate how you proceed. For example, if you have a vehicle and you need to purchase oil for it, some people may compare the prices of the different oil brands and purchase the one with the better cost-effective pricing. Someone with a frugal mind will override the decision of buying the cheaper oil and purchase the oil with the better quality. Why, you might ask? It's because the frugal mind has assessed the overall outcome of the purchase. In the long haul, that person may have to spend way more money because of the damage the cheaper, less quality oil created. This makes buying the cheaper oil not worth it when quality is required you always go with quality. You can't be cheap with everything. Chapter 2, Balancing Act. Sometimes being financially aware can feel a lot like a balancing act. Someone who is more conscious of their family will be more concerned with keeping everyone in the family happy, while at the same time making sure all of the bills are satisfied. Someone who is business-minded would feel obligated to fulfill the company's objectives. The balancing act for this type of mind would be keeping the company running while consistently turning a profit. In addition to that, they have to securely maintain the finances in his or her own personal life. How about a person who is living a single lifestyle? The balance would be between paying bills, career/work, and enjoying their free time outside of those things. There are many different types of financial personalities. Each one is entangled in a balancing act to keep their financial growth steady. Keeping your finances on an even keel can be very stressful at times. There will be times when you feel lost, hopeless, or just in need of a break. The best advice would be to take a moment for yourself and gather your thoughts, effectively analyze your approach, and continue to anchor on those goals you set. Being honest and realistic with yourself can help seize control of stability because it focuses on the strengths and weaknesses. What needs to be worked on will be highlighted the most and at the forefront. Think of it as a scale. To find the right balance of the two sides, you must concentrate on having the proper weight distributed evenly to achieve equal measurement. The centerpiece has to be you. Chapter 3, The Art of Negotiating, with career, with business, and with living. Career negotiating. Negotiating happens throughout life. You probably will have to reach terms a lot in your life. When it comes to negotiating anything with finance, you can study how effectively to do it, but like most people, this attribute is obtained through trial and error. A good mindset to have is to start high. Now, in these situations, you don't get what you deserve, but only in which you have the leverage to negotiate. So if you start high, you better have an advantage. For an example, I was in my design engineering career for about a decade. Throughout that time, I worked with multiple companies. Some companies had their workload slow down, and others I decided to leave. The first time I switched companies, I learned that I can now sit down at another negotiating table. With the few years of experience I gained working in a specific area of expertise and design at the previous company, I now gained leverage. I could see a higher number when I'm asked about my expected salary. After working there for a couple of years, that firm's workload slows down, and now I have to leave there and go to another company with now even more experience in an additional area of mastery. So I add that newly obtained savvy to my portfolio and now go sit down at another negotiation table. When I get to the point where I'm asked about what I am looking for as far as salary, I can once again raise my asking price. After multiple times of me going through this process, I was making the same as senior level members with decades of experience, and I wasn't even 10 years into my career. Most people let things like having to switch organizations or layoffs get them discouraged from moving forward. There are millions of companies in the USA, let alone the world. Just because you have to leave one doesn't mean you can't locate another. Sharpen and perfect your skills/mindset. Become a valuable asset. I didn't let the fact that I had to keep switching companies get me down. And I looked at it as an opportunity to better my adroitness, my professionalism, my finances, and most importantly, my negotiating prowess. Business negotiating. When negotiating business or just in general, always do your research. Also, never be too greedy. Don't ask for $300,000 when what you're selling is only worth $50,000. Don't ask for a $450,000 salary when the average number for that position is $150,000. Depending on who you're talking to, they might take offense and completely walk away from the deal. Here are the key essentials to mastering the art of negotiating. Number 1, start high. Always start high, but never too high. Realistically high, while in your mind knowing the number for which is your floor. In other words, what is the lowest amount you'll accept? The ceiling should obviously be the amount you desire or higher. When you're higher than the number you want, you leave room for options. It also gives you a chance to fill out the other side. See if they'll show their hand a little bit. A good rule of thumb is to learn how to study reactions, body language, and faces. Studying these things is gained through experience. You have to be in the situation multiple times to get a better feel for it. Every now and then you'll come across a poker face or two. That's someone hard to read. But if they remain sitting at the table, there's still a possibility of a deal. Number 2, working the counters. If a counter offer is too low, attempt to withdraw from the deal. But if it's just a lower amount from where you'd like to end up, counter their counter offer. At this time, it is up to the other side to decide whether they would like to continue. If they come back with another counter, they're pretty interested, which gives you a little bit more leverage. If it so happens that you counter that offer and they come back again, they are very interested, which gives you even more leverage. Remember, you don't get what you deserve, but only in which you have the leverage to negotiate. Leverage is very important. However, listen very carefully and remember this. Don't become drunk with leverage. Too much confidence or cockiness will get you in a situation where there's no deal. If you only have one interested party, you don't have as much leverage. Don't play around. Take an offer close to your liking. If you have multiple interested parties, obviously you have more room for leeway. You can throw out more options. Number 3, close the deal. Complete the deal close to where you and only you would like to be. If you have a quality commodity, never settle. Never settle. And once again, never settle. Every negotiation will not be the same, nor will each one go over smoothly. There are too many variables. There are different personalities, there are different options, there are different choices that require more finesse or attention, etc. So always go into a negotiation having done all the necessary analysis. Know what the average number is. Know the level of importance and know what you have to bring to the table. Know your leverage. Also, silence is golden. When negotiating, there are times when your silence will dictate everything. When I notice that I have a really interested party, I will make them sweat a little and remain quiet. During this time, I have watched the price go up, new additions be added to the contract, or a completely new deal offered. I've seen people actually become crazy and offer me a number way out of their league. For some reason, that's the effect silence has on some people. The key is knowing when to use this tactic and learning how to use it properly. It is also very important to know when to stop being quiet and when to engage. When I was a teenager, I used to sell perfume and cologne. According to the training, there was a sales pitch I was required to use for everyone that I came in contact with during sales interactions. Once I reached the end of my lengthy pitch, I was supposed to remain quiet for a period of time, no matter what the customer said. At first, I didn't understand it. In spite of that, I watched my sales increase drastically. It's a psychological approach that I can't quite put my finger on how exactly it worked, but it just worked. I added this to my bargaining approach and use it from time to time since then. It's a great weapon to have in your negotiation arsenal. Read my book, Be Strategic or Die, to get more info on how to be supremely strategic. Negotiating life. I grew up in an area where you learn to negotiate and broker deals daily. Not all deals are dealt with cash. Where I'm from, there are different currencies. You can trade, you can front someone something, Front is when you give someone a commodity and they pay you after they make a profit. Or you could take out a loan. But the most important to us was respect. Respect is the ultimate currency. I grew up with all types of personalities. I would see bad negotiations take place all the time because one or both sides felt disrespected. Depending on the amount of money/property involved, it could possibly lead to a serious, quote, misunderstanding. Which is what essentially happens anytime there's a situation like that. But where I was raised, that meant watching your back extra carefully. So for certain, you had to develop a personality in which you can mesh with the other psyches without any disrespect taking place. Also, you learn how to communicate effectively while driving your point across. For example, I had a negotiation when I was a preteen in middle school where I wanted to trade my sneakers for a game system. The guy who wanted to trade felt like my shoes didn't match the value of his system. So he asked if I had anything else I wanted to add to the trade. I explained to him how these particular shoes were worth over $250, which was a little more than the game system I wanted in return. He started to become agitated because he didn't think that he would be satisfied with the trade. So I said, okay, hold on for a second. I brought out the receipt for the shoes and at that point became a salesman. I highlighted the attributes of the shoes like comfortability, that they were lightweight, and that they were stylish, and that they would be attractive to girls. When I said girls, I saw his face light up, which gave me the indication that that was something of great interest to him. So of course I played that hand, explaining how girls would ask him about his shoes and how it would be a good conversation starter/icebreaker. He became less agitated and more relaxed. Eventually we did the trade. I knew he would want to see if the sneakers would ultimately lead him to meeting girls. So to drive home the trade, I contacted a few girls that I knew and told them to compliment him and his shoes every time they see him wearing them. The next time I saw him, he told me how girls come up to him all the time to talk to him about his shoes. During that conversation, a girl that I didn't contact mentioned them as she walked by. So I was actually right about the style and attraction of the sneaks. We both had a laugh. I told her how much fun it was playing the video game, and we went our separate ways. I took the time to study him and picked up on his interests, while at the same time I controlled a tense situation and made the trade. We both really wanted what the other side had, and we both mutually agreed on it. It's key to have, quote, know-how, how to read and watch people that you're involved with. Also learn ways to get information indirectly from a psychological aspect. Asking directly won't always work. These days it seems like almost no one appreciates honesty, so you have to find other ways to get the truth. Example, if I have a feeling that someone in my team is letting private information leave the circle, to find out who it is, I have a talk with each one individually and tell them that the discussion is very important and nobody else needs to know. I inform them each of that same tale, but with a very major part of the story I give a different detail, only specific to the person I'm telling it to. Now, if this important discussion that, quote, nobody else should know about ever gets back to me, I know exactly who told it based upon that major detail that I only told to one other person. Indirectly, I find the mole or even moles. Sometimes you get a chance to spend a considerable amount of time with the person or people that you're negotiating with. Certain people call it courting. During this period, I like to examine the other side's personality, likes, beliefs, a multitude of things. One thing I really focus on is how they handle pressure. One action I like to utilize to check someone's temperature is, let's say I have a fresh pack of candy. I open the pack in front of them and I offer them some. If they deny, I say, quote, it's cool, it's a fresh pack. If they deny again, I say, try it, it's pretty good. If they accept the offer, I'm going to see them as a person that will 70% of the time crack under pressure. This is not foolproof. Nonetheless, it's a small glimpse into certain dynamics about a person. You'd be surprised what pressure does to a person. You'd be surprised what pressure does to you. Chapter 4, Investment Frugal, Ways to Build by Using Funding/Donations. There's a frugal way to build a business or invest in one. If you got it like that, you can just put your own money up. But when you're just starting out, the best way to build is to use other people's money. Actually, it's always the best way to find funding. I'm not talking about a loan either. Of course, there are many loan programs in place that can be helpful to starting a business. However, I feel grants and crowdfunding/donations are the best. Loans have interest, some low and most high, placed on top of the given amount to you. You must also take into account that your business or investment must be a successful one. If not, you'll have to cut your losses, which usually means buying a loan off or worse. If you can build a brand and develop a strong following, your following will support and help build you up. Crowdfunding is a valuable way for your following to access online. You can use the internet as a platform to build and promote your business, as well as let people know about scheduled events using sites like GoFundMe, Kickstarter, etc. This has proven to be a very effective way for people, brands, and companies with huge followings. Also, just as there are many loan programs in place that are active for you, there are just as many grant programs in effect as well. You just have to know how to locate them. It's always been funny to me how these programs exist but aren't promoted more thoroughly throughout each and every community. But you could trip over a loan offer just walking across the front lawn to the mailbox. Why don't they send more mail offers giving information about available grant programs? We know what that's about, but I digress. Locating these programs is as simple as going online, searching for grant programs and sites. Also, go to your local state or city and ask them what programs are available in your area. Network is something that you should make a constant habit of yours. Sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. Sometimes it's not where you go, but when you go. People in/at these places can provide treasured and profitable information that usually leads to funding. Once you're at a point where you're up and running, it's now the time to manage the frugal way. Keep costs low in every area of your business. Let's start with location. A lot of startups start at the home location of the owner. Space is usually made in a garage, or a room is usually set up for a home office spot. With a home location, the cost for running your company should easily be kept low, depending on what your company is. There are running costs that occur when operating out of your home. Both internet and phone bills can be combined, a computer, an office phone, maybe some office equipment, and if you're needing additional help, maybe a personal assistant. There's an economical way to effectively obtain and maintain each of these very essential elements. Cable, phone, and internet come in bundles with various companies. Make sure when shopping for these services to not only look for good prices, but to ensure the quality and gig memory matches your needs. For the computer, you can get one equipped with a warranty at places like Walmart.com for great pricing and fast delivery. Walmart is also a good place to buy all of your other office equipment as well. Now, a personal assistant is where it can get tricky. Good help is hard to find, especially when you're a startup. So you may have a period of time where you will go through a few different PAs. The best process would be to put up an online ad offering a personal assistant position with a moderate pay rate and work hours. Go through the hiring process with interviews and everything else to find a good fit. If you're at an expansion point, that means it's time now to grow to an actual business location and no longer a home location. If it makes sense, it would be best to purchase a building. Ownership should always be your mindset. If you own the property, you can pretty much have the last say on most matters. There's a freedom to owning the building that I personally love to possess. However, if you decide to take the rental route, there's a way to approach it. Some business leases require you to sign for a minimum of 3 to 5 years. So, for 3 to 5 years, it will behoove you to make a constant profit to make sure you uphold your end of the lease. Not to mention the other finances that will come into play. Business and operating services, employee payroll, and benefits must be taken care of. The austere way would be to locate a lease for a shorter time period with also a nice building location. Keep in mind, you want to build your business to a point where you can purchase properties. Yes, signing leases does provide the ability to relocate afterwards, but once again, there's no better feeling than being the owner. Say if you buy an office complex, you'll have the ability to set up your company in part of that complex, and now you're the one giving out lease agreements to business tenants. Now let's look at keeping costs low. Be prudent with all finance. With regards to bills, micromanage each one of them. For example, the energy bill. Keep a set temperature on the thermostat. Have energy efficient equipment that keep your space comfortable, yet at the same time keep the bill charges reasonable. Make sure lights and plumbing are all turned off at the end of the workday. Keep spaces clean and tidy, which prevents what we all hate, an unwanted guests. Chapter 5. Discipline to freedom. Be disciplined. Be disciplined. Be disciplined. I cannot emphasize that enough. Live the happy and free life you want. If you can be disciplined for a short period of time, you can live the way you want to for the rest of your life. Your question would be, how would that be possible? The answer would be easy. Smart investments. Be calculated, do the necessary groundwork, and most importantly, be very careful not to make decisions with your heart, but with your head. Both investing and business can have their upsides. However, they also have their cons. Everyone is different. I cannot tell you exactly which investment you will flourish in, but find one that you're passionate about and something that will continue to sustain your interest. Investments usually take a little time to manifest into wealth, which is where the quote, if you can be disciplined for a short period of time, you can live the way you want to for the rest of your life statement comes from. If you can't come up with your niche right away, there's the obvious investment that you can take part in, which is real estate. People will always need a place to stay or do business. Not just that, find the investments that will always be guaranteed. Whatever your investment, understand that everything takes time. Do not expect an immediate return on the amount you invested in, or to break even quickly. Breaking even is the point you want to reach. The definition of breaking even is when I make back the money I initially invested. So for example, if I'm into real estate and I purchase a property for $300,000 so I can make it into a rental, I won't break even until that property has made me back $300,000. All the money made with that building after that point is now considered a profit. Turning a profit is where you want to be when it comes to investing. Whether your invested money down is $500, $500,000, or $500 million, in my opinion, it is not a successful one until you reach a point in which you're profiting. Chapter 6. Identification of separation. Determine yourself in the now so that you are able to know who you've become. In life, we will face different phases. The biggest and most important contrivance is to never lose your true identity. They say a great deal of money will only enhance who you really are. So if you're an asshole, you'll be a bigger one. If you're a kind person, you will demonstrate that act. One thing about finance at a high level is it makes it harder to decipher between people who are for you and the ones that are hanger-ons. Word to the wise. If people feel you can't do anything for them, they will treat you relative to however they feel about you. Really. If you want to see how people really perceive you, tell them no more than you tell them yes. Story time. When I was younger, there was a senior man that would talk to all the kids in the neighborhood about life. The rest of the children would brush him off, but one day I decided to sit and listen. It became a habit of mine listening to him because what he would say would be valuable. One day he said to me, quote, "Son, you look smart enough to one day grow up and be something. So I'm going to tell you what to do when that happens. When you start to make real money, it's going to come with a lot of perks. Dating will be one of them." He said, purchase 3 types of homes. 1, a modest home, which is a home on a smaller side, but is decent. 2, a lavish home, which is a home that is much bigger and very appealing. And 3, a vacation home, which is self-explanatory. For those who aren't the sharpest knives in the drawer, a vacation home will be one that you go on vacation to. Duh. When you're dating someone and you begin to take it to the next level, first make them only aware of and take them to the modest home. See how they treat it. If they treat it horribly or talk down on it, kindly excuse yourself from the relationship. But if you take them to the modest home and they accept it, make it their own, kindly welcome them to the other homes, because most likely they are there for you, the person, and not what you have or what you can do for them. I must say, I have thought about this statement from my pre-teenage years all the way until now. At first I said to myself, this is a very inquisitive statement, which kind of singles people out within a generalization. However, I followed his advice, and he was 100% correct. To those who didn't make it to the lavish home, that's on you. This method probably won't be worth much after everyone buys and reads this book, but it is very useful tactic. Maybe switch the houses out with something else, like another significant materialistic deity. The moral of the story, make sure you have people around you that love and want you for you. Chapter 7, Overprotect. When dealing with finances in life, there are so many obstacles that come along to distract you and try to deter you from your main objective. It is solely up to you to make sound decisions and overprotect. Protect your finance in the real world and in the virtual one. When using your money online, always be aware of predators looking to scam and fish for your economics. Never save your cards to your online accounts at stores that you purchase from. I know it makes it easier for the next time you buy from that store, but that also makes it easier for them to get to. Use apps for your phone or tablets carefully. Some apps are scams and fish for information. Imperva defines phishing as, quote, a type of social engineering attack often used to steal user data, including login credentials and credit card numbers. It occurs when an attacker, masquerading as a trusted entity, dupes a victim into opening an email, instant message, or text message. So be careful signing up for an app that asks for a lot of your personal info. Use long, memorable passwords with multiple special characters that only you will decipher to keep from having intruders easily guess it. Verify site security. Never easily acquiesce any information on a website before first checking that website's URL starts with an HTTPS. Look in the address bar and make sure you see a locked icon. Verify the certificate of the site is secure. If you open an email or visit a website and it says that it may contain malicious files, leave immediately. There are free anti-phishing toolbars that you can install that run quick checks on visited sites and have those same websites compared to known phishing web pages and send alerts notifying you of it. Overprotect your social security number. When asked for your social, question why it is needed and what it will be used for. Your social is the main source for your personal data, so guard it at every turn. When picking a financial advisor, choose discerningly and always keep an eye on your money. No matter how much they seem trustworthy, remain involved in every transaction, deal, or investment. Even do your own digging on ideas that are brought to you by them. There are so many stories from entertainers and athletes that claim their advisor purloined funds from them while they work together. Good help is hard to find, especially when large sums of money are involved. Do yourself a favor and be diligent. Monitor your credit regularly. This keeps you from being oblivious to any unwanted changes or even fraud. Knowing what's on your credit and your credit score helps you determine your potential for loan qualifications and get a better interest rates when you are looking to borrow. There are loan calculators out there that will give you an approximate number of what you'll pay on a loan before you even apply. Shred important financial documents or papers with that information on it. Getting a shredder is easy and costs about 30 to 50 bucks. Shred and then separate the shredded papers from each other. Place the divided parts into different trash or recycle bins. I personally discard them immediately and don't wait for the trash pickup day. When you are dining out or clubbing, never leave a tab open with your card. In fact, try paying cash mostly when you can. There are a lot of vultures that intercept your info while you're having a good old time. Keep insurance to protect yourself. When talking finances over the phone, be aware of your surroundings and never yell your info aloud. Try to stay away from giving vital information on your calls, but if necessary, don't speak loudly so people nearby can hear it. Separate yourself from others and speak low into the phone so only the person you are giving the information to can receive it. Keep valuable documents such as property deeds, bank account statements, paperwork, etc. locked away where it isn't easily accessible. Do this also with cash that's around your residence or where you frequent, such as your car or office/job. Don't keep your cash out in the open. I think this is a self-explanatory assertion. Some people have a safe. I like to keep my cash where people would least expect it to be, like at the quote-unquote police station. Receipts sometimes have your card info on it. Keep these away as well. If your receipts are used for tax purposes, document them quickly and discard of the paper receipt. It will most likely begin to fade anyway. Drive slow, homie. I know we need and love our vehicles. We must protect those too. The speedsters out there are going to hate me for this, but drive slow. According to a Google search, AMCO says, quote, when you step on the gas pedal, you initiate a process that delivers air and fuel to the engine. As the gas pedal is pressed, it turns a pivot that in turn pulls the throttle wire. The throttle wire is connected to a throttle linkage. That linkage serves to control a value that regulates the air intake to the engine. Simply put, when you aren't constantly pressing the gas, you save on gas. Also, means less wear and tear on the rest of the car itself. Speeding dictates the act of having to use your brakes more to slow down or stop, which means the brakes deplete quicker. As stated in the aforementioned quote, speeding requires more from your engine, which can lead to the motor having a shorter lifespan. Drive slow, or driving slow, makes it easier to avoid collisions/accidents better because you and the vehicle can have a better reaction time. Driving fast shortens the time to react or stop. If someone has a car accident, say bye-bye to the okay insurance premium rate because that's going up now, no matter who's in the wrong. That's if they don't consider the vehicle, quote, total status, which means you're probably shopping for another car soon. Don't get me started on insurance companies. Didn't get into an accident? Only got a speeding ticket or 2 or 10? Once again, that means your insurance premium takes a ride on the escalator. Now you're paying more a month for car protection. You're also paying for those tickets, fines, and whatever else comes with getting pulled over as well. Too many tickets means suspended license or even revoked license. This translates to getting rides everywhere, and who wants that? Do you see how channeling your inner Bubba Wallace on the local roads or the interstate can run your pockets? You don't have to coast at 5 miles per hour everywhere you go. Just drive the speed limit, get to your destination safely, and lengthen your vehicle's viability. Employ this overprotect perspective differently to your personal assets. The idea of lessening the wear, tear, and preserving the exuberance of your vehicle's properties, etc., can help you save. Chapter 8: Beginner Level Investing the Frugal Way. What I'm about to touch on is the basics of the basics. Read my book, Invest or Die, to get more extensive information on how I invested in the stock market and the real estate industry. Stock investing. A way that some people can become financially secure is through educated investing. Invest in a manner in which you maneuver cleverly up the ladder. Let's talk stocks. There are different types of stocks, but I want to focus on income stocks or dividend stocks. These are fun because they pay a percentage of the shares owned back to you, whether quarterly, monthly, or whenever the payout date is. When choosing a stock to invest in, I must research the many companies and choose which one best suits my needs and what I am personally looking to accomplish. Key things to know is 1. How long the company has been trading. It's good if a company has been around a decent amount of time. I like the ones that have been trading for decades, preferably, because it has stood the test of time and the highs and lows of the market itself. There's a constant up and down throughout time in which a stock price will fluctuate. This is why stock investing is mainly considered a marathon. Number 2, the company's market cap. Know how much the company is worth. I'd opt for one that is well into the billions of dollars or close to it. That shows the power and stability and creates leeway for when the fluctuation occurs. 80% foolproof. Number 3, the company's annual dividend yield. This tells me how much the percentage is for each share owned and the amount of dividend I will receive off that share that year. Example, if I own one share that cost me $10 and the annual dividend is 10%, this means that for that year I will make $1 because I own only one share. So if I purchase 10,000 shares at $10 per share, which will be about $100K total spent, I'll make how much for that year? You guessed it, $10,000. No matter how the company swings throughout the 4 quarters, I will make that 10%. The company's ex-dividend date. Number 4. The ex-dividend date is the date that determines how many shares you own and what will be paid to you, the investor, on that payout date. Always check to make sure the stock is still paying its dividend. Also, check to confirm if the percentage has changed since the last payout. Following the stock's ticker symbol will help keep track of this. You must also know that stock companies sometimes change their annual dividend yield, or they may even stop paying dividends altogether. So you must stay up to date with the company to be aware of any changes to avoid possible setbacks or major losses. Nothing like finding out a stock has suspended the dividend after you dump a crazy amount into it. This now leads me to number 5, the company's performance. I want to know the daily, weekly, monthly, annually, and all-time performance. I utilize the finance websites that give me accurate information about stocks for free. I set up an online account and add those companies I invest to my portfolio so I can watch them daily. I see the performance outlook, the previous close, the days range, 52-week range, volume, average volume, market cap, beta, PE ratio, earnings date, 1-year target estimate, etc. It helps me tremendously. Watching these stocks is something I deem to be very tedious, but I actually have become fond of the task because watching my money works keeps me motivated to build it even higher than where it already is. It is necessary to keep a close eye on it diurnally Dividend stocks are great for seeing money come back to you, but you must know that stock investors mostly reap great rewards in the long term. Plus, learning and gaining wisdom throughout that time is valuable, so do not get discouraged if you don't become an immediate illionary. I think I just made up a word, but you catch my drift. Number 6, the company's RSI, Relative Strength Index. It is important to know if the stock's pattern is bullish or bearish. A bullish stock is when investors think it will go up in price or has high value. It's considered to overperform. A bearish stock is one that investors believe is going to decrease in value or have a downward spiral. These two represent the stock's Relative Strength Index, or RSI. Real estate investing. One of the oldest industries dating back to the 1800s is real estate. Investing in this particular trade can be very beneficial. Like with any investment, there are trials, but rewards are high when executed right. People will always need a place to stay, and rental real estate provides that space. The thing with renting is there are rules to follow based upon where the property is located. Research is required, and there's a lot of reading, but gain all of that knowledge. It helps avoid trips to rent court. I would protect myself by placing the properties that are owned in a company name and not in my name. I make sure that all properties are up to code with modern standards. It's important for me to gear my rental agreements with terms that are legal and to my satisfaction / within my rules and what I require. I do this because there are different types of renters, and I place the verbiage in the agreement that clearly speaks against certain rental practices that clearly are, for the lack of a better word, wrong. Once my rental is ready and available, I like to market it online. The most helpful place to me has been Marketplace because it puts me in touch with millions of people looking for exactly what my rental has to offer. It also gives me a glimpse into the person themselves by seeing the types of posts they put up. It's not foolproof, but it's a start. Owning a parking lot is a great way to do rental real estate without as much of a hassle. I don't have to worry about a tenant calling me in the middle of the night because they saw a spider in the basement. You'd be surprised what tenants call about. And this scenario is pretty cut and dry. I make an agreement with somebody who needs parking storage, and I set a pay rate and time to pay. I also do a contract with a local tow truck company for unwanted vehicles stored on my lot. If a renter hasn't paid by the time of the end of the payment grace period, bye-bye vehicle. I don't have any eviction laws, no 30-day wait. It's just simply get it out of here. Most likely to avoid a hefty impound lot bill, the renter will pay the parking rent. Still, definitely know the local laws of owning a lot and zoning. There are also lots that are close to nightlife or big events. I find it great to own a lot near these places because people are only paying to park temporarily and they need parking that's secure and close enough. They have to pay. I once knew a guy who owned a lot downtown. Every weekend he pulled in between 20 to 50,000. There's 52 weeks in a year. You do the math. Same agreement with a tow company. If someone doesn't pay, the car is gone. I do research when looking for lots to own and rent out to parking patrons. It's not the easiest task, but once I have a lot, the time put in makes it worth it. There's other ways to get involved with real estate, ways like tax sales, which I personally don't get involved with, or something I call a middleman deal where I would get a finder's fee for locating a property in which a deal was closed. There's also 203k loan investing and more. Once again, look more for in-depth investing game in my book, Investor Die. Chapter 9, Saving While Being a Parent. There's no way to save a lot of money being a parent, okay? Next chapter. Early on in this book, I spoke about not being cheap with everything. And this is one of those scenarios. Most parents want the best for their children. Life is precious, and health is the most important. However, there are ways to avoid extra charges here and there. Every little bit adds up. They say that an average newborn can require up to $20,000 annually. That would be contingent upon the habits of the parent/guardian and the child's care needs. Hospital stays and doctor visits. When on hospital trips, always be aware of the charges they somehow tentatively add on. Private rooms a lot of times come with a loaded charge. Those charges are daily, and a high-end hospital can go north of $500 per day. Maybe a two-person room will be better rated. You'll lose a little bit of added privacy, but your wallet will thank you. Check room rates before selecting. When you leave your stay at a hospital, take with you whatever came with the room. Locate the items mostly placed in the bassinet underneath or in the cabinet. They place valuables like alcohol swabs, nasal aspirators, bottle nipples, thermometers, diapers, swaddling clothes, etc. This will save you a trip to the store later and probably about $50 to $100. When visiting the pediatrician, ask them for free samples again. They'll probably give you cream or formula. Also, avoid trips to the pediatrician altogether if you can. Call first and see if they can let you know based on symptoms what's going on. If they don't invoice you for the call, you'll avoid the copay charge that's set for when you go into their office. Get a rectal or digital thermometer at fraction of the cost compared to the ear thermometer. Digital and rectal thermometers are recommended by the docs anyway. Breastfeeding and eating. Breastfeeding is healthier for a newborn and more cost efficient, so nurse if you possibly are able to. I know this may be a little abnormal, but try to borrow an electric pump if you can from a close friend or family member. A good pump can cost up to $1,000, so just purchase the starter kit plastic attachment replacements for about $50. Consult free nursing hotlines and companies to get advice about nursing instead of paying for a lactation professional who will invoice you for the home visit or call. Shop around for the best price on quality wardrobes for breastfeeding. Keep all of the free formula samples and keep coupons. Special offers come in handy when the nursing stops. Formula becomes the go-to, which means it's time to come out of pocket even more. Sign up to the formula companies that offer options on their website or newsletter. Generic formulas are required by law to meet the same nutrition standards and have the same quality as the more popular name companies, so give them a try as well. In need of a special blend formula? See if your flexible healthcare spending account is able to take care of the balance. If you're a great parent chef, make some baby food. When the time permits, mix up some mashed greens and fruit. This will be a meal or two or three and save yourself some bucks. Place snacks in the airtight storage containers to keep them from going stale faster, which expands the shelf life and prevents you from throwing away uneaten food just to buy them again. Buying baby clothes. Newborns can grow at unbelievable rates, so wait and try not to buy too many baby clothes until after birth. You'll buy season-related wear by the time the season comes around. Your baby has outgrown those outfits. Go with more soft booties for the shoe collection as opposed to actual shoes. Infants aren't exactly learning to walk anytime soon. Unless, of course, you've bred a neonate with a 132 IQ score, the footwear is just there to keep the feet warm. A newborn is not going to care about their threads, so if you're not picky, fashionable parent/guardian who thinks that their baby needs the quote best of the best, then purchase markdown brands or even off brands. Our baby will cover them in throw up, food, or some type of bodily liquid anyway. So why spend thousands only to just discard after? That's literally throwing money away. Buy plain white colored attire, which makes it easier to clean when you apply the family laundry secret. Also, you guessed it, hand-me-downs. For those who are really strapped for cash. Obviously, it's free, and if the clothes made it through the persecution of another newborn, they most likely have superpowers, and that's a plus. Buying equipment. Grab baby furniture that can do multiple things, like how changing tables are also storage units, cribs are also beds for small kids/toddlers, and grab a high chair that's all in one that can also be used as a booster seat or just a chair. Get any baby shower gifts that you can see yourself parting ways with. Return them as soon as you can before the time on returns or exchange expires. Pillows for the baby's crib are just decorative, so don't even bother. When the baby's sleeping, you're going to have to remove them from inside the crib anyway because they are SIDs, sudden infant death syndrome hazards. Wait to see what kind of bottles your kid would like to before going crazy in the infant bottle aisle. Just grab one or two first. Buy diapers in bulk. I mean like bulk. The money saved at the end of the year by doing this will add up and contribute to another area needed with caring for a child. Give the stroller a stroll before buying it. Test drive it to see if it's worth shelling out your Skrilla. Sometimes the highest priced are the ones that can't steer properly, or possibly the brakes/stops wear easily, which means that you have to replace them, spending more money. Or some other nuisance that you should not have to deal with for a $400 to $1,500 stroller. Always keep a bag with diapers, baby wipes, clothes, or added outfits, ointments, snacks, or typical things that your baby specifically needs in your vehicle/the places you frequent. Sometimes being a parent can be forgetful, and this extra bag will come in handy and save you a trip or even trips to the store to acquire things you already have and just forgot to grab. Activities. A lot of libraries have great free options for classes and games. They are very kid and newborn friendly and provide great activities for parents/guardians. Visit your local library's website to see availability for virtual or in-person ventures. Parks are great for free fun and family time. Take a trip to the park. Have a barbecue outside. Or just grab a decent blanket to place on the ground and acquire a carrying basket or two to hold whatever you have to eat and drink. A safe/decent bug repellent and enjoy. Looking at the stars while at the park is a pastime that is immensely peaceful and relaxing. A park visit is even better if you have a dog. Taking your dog with you adds to the fun. My dogs usually show me another side when there's nothing but grass around. I didn't even know my dog was that fast. It's amazing seeing the things dogs can do, how athletic they are, how much fun they can have just from a visit to the park. I always say kids and pets will show you unconditional love. Park activities aren't high, expensive ones, but they are high in getting closer to your loved ones, so go get some fresh air. Reading to your kids will develop good educational habits and encourage reading, which is hard to do in this technology age. When I was a kid, there was something called Hooked on Phonics. I used it every day, and when I entered into kindergarten, I was ahead of my classmates because I already knew about things like ABCs, letter vowels, addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. Reading and learning types of activities can be fun and can help advance your kid's brain. Do artistic tasks, which tap into the creative side of your children and can be cost-friendly. Buy some water-based paint with brushes and have a paint contest. See if either side can make a life-size drawing of each other. Do this and observe who can get the closest to resemblance. Grab a bit of colorful paper with some safe-cut scissors, coupled with other crafts. See what your youngster can invent. Build something out of recycled items. Make a completely green rocket ship or castle. Go outside, be one with nature, and catch fireflies and release. When I was a kid, me and the other children in the neighborhood would catch light bugs and then release them. Always release them back into the environment. I would very carefully and safely climb natural objects. I also had a friend named Brad that perfected the ability to climb trees. For the high IQ families out there, collect leaves and see which lineage they identify with online or at the local library. I found that bird watching is actually interesting, even more to adolescents. It can be a habit that develops into adulthood. Playing catch definitely is great for bonding, developing hand-eye coordination, athleticism, therapy for some, as you could talk to your children at the same time, and so much more. Tying into athletics, I could also help my children develop a sport that they like or are already participating in. Sometimes a youngster can be feeling intimidated, anxious, or even scared when playing sports. This activity will help quell those feelings and possibly develop their ability to overcome them. I wish I had more moments like this as a minor. Teaching your child to ride a bike also makes great for helping them face a fear and learn the ability of doing so. After they learn how to, riding bikes can now be a regular activity the whole family can partake in. What kid turns down a water balloon fight? Not me as a youth. This activity is easy because I can go to the dollar store and buy the whole section of little balloons for about $10. Not really. Fill them up with water, which might be about 1 to 3 gallons, and go outside and safely have a fun time. You can buy skates for your kids and visit a skate park together. Hell, you can even watch the other kids there doing cool tricks that are entertaining, and your kid/kids might learn something. Washing your car together safely with your kids would be ideal for getting some cleaning done while avoiding the fun of the pounce of an underage with a bucket full of soapy water. As a kid, I had sidewalks, and all of us youngsters would use the sidewalk chalk and draw hopscotch on them and then play. I don't know if this is allowed anymore, but it was great for us. Trampoline jumping has its amusement, so this activity provides children great joy. I also make this as secure as possible. Making music together and listening to songs together brings up spirits. Music is food for the soul. It can be healing for any situation, and doing it together with your kids would bring a connection. You could visit the beach and play in the sand together with your little ones, build sand castles, or even bury each other in the sand. You can learn to surf with your picnic or learn better swimming techniques by attempting to. Got a sandbox at home? You can play with your offspring in there too. A lot of tennis courts in the neighborhoods or around them are free to the public, so play tennis. I get tennis rackets for about $50 to $100, depending on how many you need, and have a match or 2 or 10. It's great exercise, and you never know, you might have the next Arthur Ashe or Serena Williams on your hands. Do the same with basketball courts and open fields. Basketball just requires a basketball, which is about $30 to $60, and the ability to play. Let me add good trash talking to that. Fields open to the public can be used to play football and soccer. Once again, all that is needed is the football or the soccer ball, the knowledge of the game itself, and the ability to perform. These are all sports that develop cardiovascular fitness and merriment. When I was younger, plays, skits, and sketches was something I took part in, and I must say that this is where my wonderful acting ability was developed. Doing this with your kids can be extremely enjoyable. It's a wonderful way to memorize something, develop character traits and personality, and bring a lot of laughter. You can put on these displays for friends, family, each other, or even for your neighbors. Water can always bring ebullience. How about just turn on the front or back lawn sprinklers and run through them safely? I'd make this a try not to laugh event and watch how we fail miserably. After 5 minutes, I notice my cardio isn't up to par, but the joy on the kiddos' faces makes almost having the wind knocked out of me worth it. I always liked swinging on the swing, safely of course. Swinging on a swing with the little ones brings full circle an action that has now become generational. I always try to be careful while maintaining the effort to try to go as high as possible. Also, when I was young and on the swing, All the supremely athletic kids, I was one of them, would swing as high as possible only to then jump off. The feeling of flying takes place for what seems like an eternity, and then sticking and landing immediately follows. I would not recommend doing this, just simply swinging is enough. Good thing I don't have any phobias about walking in the woods or midi hikes. If you notice, there's a theme of physical activity simply because it's important to get the youth moving, and this is a way of doing this. The woods can be tricky, so always keep an eye out for anything unusual while walking through there. A gardening visit is also good for teaching and learning about planting and harvesting. The Web defines planting ecology as, quote, a simple act that has meticulous method of producing food and living plants that have such an idiosyncratic plant ecosystem. Also, quote, a subdiscipline of ecology which studies the distribution of abundance of plants, the effects of environmental factors upon the abundance of plants, and the interactions among and between plants, other organisms. Simply put, plants have a word of their own, and other living beings depend on plants to further life. This includes humans, so bringing your child to a garden could be a life lesson, learn, and fun time. Lastly, take your kids to see a friend's game and cheer them on. But there's nothing like watching your child play a sport or performing at a school musical/play. It's admission-free, and no pun intended, it's a priceless moment. Part 2 of the book, Cheap Little Secrets. Passage number 1, cooking food versus buying food. Let's talk about the advantages of cooking your own food versus buying your own food/eating out. A lot of people enjoy eating out with family, friends, and associates. That usually comes with a hefty price tag. The camaraderie, the moments, and memories created with those people can be worth its weight in gold. So it's all relative. But this book is about maximizing your income. So let's transfer over to the advantages of cooking your own food. The main benefit when cooking is that you can control your calorie intake, the amount of servings, so on and so forth. Health is wealth. Being in charge of your nourishment, exercising, and having awareness of your mental capacity regularly contribute to that. The financial mastery of being your own chef is that you dictate your own price tag. Remember, a restaurant is still a business, so their job, for the most part, is to make a profit, meaning the food they are serving you costs them a fraction of what they are charging you when you receive the bill. When you shop for your own food, you see the different choices in the grocery aisle with the price on the packaging. When it comes to food, cheap is not where you want to be. You want to be in a frugal space. Remember, the difference between the two. Being frugal with the cuisine is finding the best quality matched with the best pricing. Sometimes with food, the price is higher because of the brand's name. Do your research on some of these and you'll discover they are not that much better in quality and taste from the brand that's lesser known/competitor. When I was in my early 20s, I started to meal prep for the week. For those who don't know, meal prepping is when you cook a meal that you would eat for days to a week at a time. If you look inside my fridge, you will see plastic food containers that would organize for each day of that week. It could definitely be boring eating the same thing every day, but let me tell you, I saved so much money that my bank account developed obesity disease. The money you preserve can be used so many ways. I decided to save and invest, but you can also use the money for new disposable income. Passage 2. Stay away from people who love money. The love of money is the root of all evil. These type of people and their mentality will rub off on you. Also, they'll drain you and be on to the next person. They are unique and are fueled by something internal. Once they finally figure it out, it is often way too late. If you do not have happiness and a good overall well-being, all the money in the world won't fill the void within. Money is important because in this society, it is what is needed to provide. However, it is still materialistic. Some of the best feelings you will ever experience in your life won't come from material things. True love, true friendship, and a true peace of mind can never be purchased. Somewhere along the line, we as humans lost sight of this and began to put finance above the profoundly important entities in life. So I plead to you, the person reading this, once you reach your financial goals, please don't place it over your family, your friends, your loved ones, and most importantly, you. It is the most loneliest you will ever be. Trust me. Passage number 3, equipment buying secrets. Most equipment being sold is coming from a manufacturer. So with that being said, it most likely costs the same to be made. How is it that when you see this equipment at different stores, the prices are different? When buying equipment to get the best bang for your buck, shop around first. You'll see that the same item is being sold and you'll find better pricing. I personally like to shop online because I, 1, hate waiting in line, and 2, the equipment will be delivered right to my door. This in turn eliminates having to take it from inside the store to a vehicle, transport from the store, and then take it inside my home. 2 out of 3 steps are removed when ordering on the web. Easy. Passage 4, saving on bills. Bills usually come throughout the month. We all have different ones depending on what we are involved in. With services for you and your place of residence, always shop around first for the best service at the best price. Some people just sign up to companies because of their name and popularity, but sometimes the big name doesn't have the best product and are overcharging you. So do your due diligence. Next, avoid late fees. These fees add up. By the end of the year, you'll be surprised by how much you've accumulated. Third, pay your bills ahead of time. It gives you leverage to negotiate. If you get paid on Wednesday and your rent is due on Friday, pay your rent on Wednesday. This is especially for the renters out there. Having been involved with my rental properties for some time now, whenever a renter paid before their due date, I made note of it. When it's time for the lease increase, if you make a mention of your rent paying habits and them being ahead of time, a good landlord will factor that in if you are trying to negotiate a lesser increase or even no increase. It's hard to find good renters, so my landlord will accommodate that so they don't lose a good tenant for possibly a horrible one. Landlords are also human beings with lives just like you, so don't just pay ahead of time because it's the right thing to do, but do it also to gain a little leverage. As for those who have mortgages, there are different types of mortgages out there. If your mortgage is free of a prepaid penalty, then make your payments ahead of time and always more than the monthly amount. Some companies have the option to place the excess amount towards the principal, which will in turn create a domino effect, and you'll save money in the long run by paying off that mortgage way ahead of schedule and significantly increase your credit. Read my book, Invest or Die, to get information about home ownership and real estate investing. Going green has helped me with energy costs. I grabbed an already put together solar system for about a little under $2,000. Solar systems are a great investment because 1, I own it, and 2, they split the energy in half, in some occasions 80%. Understanding the solar system setup is important, and you need to know the parameters as it is very unique. Once again, read my book Invest or Die to get more info. Do your own grooming. This can save a considerable amount of money at the end of the year. Things like cutting my own nails, cutting my own hair, giving myself spa days equated to between $10,000 to $20,000 per year. When I was younger, I went to the same barber from all the way into my 20s. My barber eventually had to check into a retirement home, and I was forced to search for a new one. The search was a frustrating one. When I found one that did exactly what I wanted, I would have to wait all day for him to finish with other clients because he was so good. It also didn't help that my long-term former barber would give me appointments specific to my schedule, which was extremely convenient. It was either I had to wait for the current good barber or let my hair grow for a month because some coiffeur rearranged my hairline during the shape-up process. So I just purchased the hair clippers and nail utensils for about $200 and enrolled to the University of YouTube. There was definitely a learning curve. Nonetheless, once I got the hang of things, it all began to work out. When I was at the spa, I would ask questions as to what products they were using with me. That knowledge led me to searching for these same products and purchasing them online. What a surprise when I realized how considerably less the items cost outside of the spa's establishment. Another virtual tip to my favorite online university, and no more $500 to $1,000 spa dates. Passage number 5, saving on clothes. Some people believe that purchasing less clothes with higher quality can help our living environment. They believe the more you buy, the more it contributes to waste, pollution, and greenhouse gases every year. Quality fit is hard to come by. Most people like a certain thread count or for their clothes to be of unequivocal standards. It's all merely personal preference. However, research clothing and really know what those clothes are all about. It can help contribute to saving overall. Once you know what to look for, give your favorite brand a look-see and learn how they are involved with sustainability, if at all. Ethics is another practice to make sure those brands are properly participating in. Check to see where the items are made. Most times, sustainable clothing has higher price tag. Grabbing a pair of jeans for $100 instead of a few pair for the same amount can seem counterproductive. Yet, see, at the end of the year, you may split your wardrobe budget in half because you have higher quality clothing that will last longer, which translates to buying them less and less. So $100 is actually affordable. Passage number 6, credit cards can make or break you. Be careful. I personally would only use credit cards to build my credit. The secret is to keep the balance low. Make your payments every month before your due date so that when it's reported to the bureaus, it shows a good payment history and also that you don't spend recklessly. I only use the cards for small purchases like candy, or instead of paying for gas with my money, I would fill the tank once for that month with that card. And the other times I'll get gas, I'll pay. I make it a strict regimen and develop my credit at a good pace. It won't be overnight results, but they'll certainly ensue. If you are ever late on payments, contact the card company. They will help you get back on track up to a couple times out of the year. They are required to. In my opinion, these cards are only there for me in an emergency, so half of the times I don't even have them in my wallet. Avoid making large purchases with these if you can, and look at them as, quote, for building your credit use only. Passage 7, saving on travel and gas usage. When traveling, it is easy to overspend, especially with eating, a place to stay, and transportation. For me, the things that are obvious is to stay away from is excessive purchasing of, quote, stuff. It's always great to have objects that symbolize the trip in itself. However, splurging runs up the total cost of the trip. It's more about the expedition and the memories. Flying. Obviously, try not to fly on days that aren't peak days. Try to plan holiday trips months ahead of time, or plan, if you can, tours and trips before or after high seasons because prices will be higher just cause during that season itself. In fact, off-season traveling is way better. You'll most likely find cheaper tours, hotels, and ferries. Sometimes flights that are at the beginning of the week have more appealing advertisements. Weekend flights seem to most times be priced more. Bundling travel packages can also have better pricing. You'll get flight, stay, and transportation. Just shop and compare prices first. Access to cash. When traveling, you might want to use cash and trips to the ATM most likely rise when you're out of town, which for some people means ATM fees. Did you know that there are banks that are travel friendly and create access to immense withdrawals without the fees? This will take a load off your fee accumulation. Just shop around and locate a bank that fits best your travel needs. Transportation. To be honest, public transportation can be very effective and a safe haven, especially when out of country or overseas. But when looking for transportation, I personally hate waiting, so I always rent a vehicle. There's something about being able to get up and go whenever you're ready. It's for me ideal. It's also the reason I kind of hate when I have to valet my vehicle. It's a pet peeve. But enough about me. When renting a car, I find the best way to do it is through a bundle. However, I have found sometimes rates are better when booking separately. When choosing a car, there are times transport options for different types of vehicles of the same car, just placed in a different category for the company's category pricing system. What I mean is, sometimes you have the option of a quote premium car or a quote luxury car. The luxury car will be priced higher because of the category it's in. The cars usually are the same type. That's why when booking a car, most times it says, quote, this type of car or similar, disclaimer. For example, let's say you're looking to rent a Benz for your trip. You would think you would have to browse the luxury car section, but sometimes that same vehicle is available in the premium car section, or even a full-size car section at a lesser rate. It depends on the location of where you have traveled to. Best advice is for you to do your due diligence. Also, there are online companies that will locate the best rate without the prepaid demand. They'll even continue to search for better vehicle prices before the trip. Book with one particular rental company, submit that information to those types of companies, and they'll search for a better rate if there is one. Walk and save. You can also walk to destinations that are close instead of driving, which will save you money on gas, give you some exercise, and provide some sightseeing. Just be aware of your surroundings when walking in new places and properly assess the area for crime, just for safety. Eating when traveling. Want to save money on eating when traveling? Limit the amount of times you eat out. Try to stay somewhere where you can cook for yourself, if you can cook. The benefit of this pays dividends. Go to the local grocery store and grab food for likely a lesser price and more quantity. You'll have more food left over to cook and eat for days. Eating out usually leaves leftovers to equate to a snack. Shopping the market also affords you the opportunity in which you can shop around and see different items that are only at that geographical location. If you plan to eat out, select lunch over dinner, because a lot of times the entrees for both eating times are similar, but the latter costs more. If you're really looking not to spend too much money on food, locate companies that have specials on dishes that will fill you up. For example, Little Caesar has this special where right now you can get a large pizza for like $6. The average person has about a 2,500 calorie daily diet. This pizza itself has about 2,000 calories, which is safe to say that starvation won't rear its ugly head. I wouldn't recommend just eating pizza all the time. Mix some fruits and vegetables in there with water just for balance. Or go to Chipotle and order the $11 bowl with everything. Order extra wraps on the side for about 60 cents each. You can take those wraps and make your own burritos separately. There'll be decent sized ones too, and will provide you lunch and dinner for maybe about 2 days. You'll definitely save a great deal of coin finding specials like this while you're out of town, principally if you're really pressed to keep a tight budget. Also, if you're out of country, eat locally. Drinking and traveling. Buy your own drinks and stay away from mini bars. Don't go out drinking too much. Early in the book, we touched on open bar tabs. Bar tabs are so easy to run up. The more you have fun, the more the tabs collect. Why do you think most casinos give free drinks inside of their facilities? It's because they know the more most people have fun, the more likely they're going to stay longer and spend more money. Try to be more conscious of this, especially when traveling. Free sightseeing. A lot of times, the museums can be a great place to visit for small sightseeing out of town. Search for the days that they have free admission. However, free entry is most likely, especially if you visit a cathedral, which is filled with great artistic design and historical features you may not even see when you're back home too often. Have a wonderful personality. One thing to make note of is that everyone you meet when traveling, whether at the airport or the hotel, the rental company, they are still people. Sometimes you can talk your way into a better room because there has been a recent vacancy or cancellation, a better table or section at a restaurant or establishment. You get the point. Never underestimate how far being friendly and a good genuine person can take you. That's a rule of thumb for life in general, not just when traveling. Find free Wi-Fi hotspots. Coffee shops or similar usually give free Wi-Fi to paying customers. This beats paying for internet service when you just need a quick fix. However, if you do need it on the go, mobile Wi-Fi devices will be low costing per day and will beat paying for high Wi-Fi charges at your hotel if it's not included. Reserve it online and grab it at the airport or have it delivered to you. Saving on out-of-town events. There are many online ticket sites that will give you the best fares, proven to the best websites for your particular travel location and confirm its viability. Also, offer tickets that are standing. Most of the time, standing tickets are way more affordable than seated, and sometimes you get a better view of the show. Arrive early when you have standing tickets to get the best placement for you/your group. Early arrival can also give you a chance to mingle with the event staff. Remember the quote-unquote wonderful personality trait. I once got access to box seats because I arrived early and chatted up an event coordinator. 30 minutes later, she had me looking down on the stadium, drinking rum chata, eating hors d'oeuvres, all for free. Part 3 of the book. This is for the really, really cheap people out there. Ridiculously cheap. If you don't want to spend any money, this section is for you. Now, even I'm not this cheap because what I'm about to engage in is really, in my opinion, ridiculous, borderline deleterious. When you pay for something, get everything out of it. You pay for a meal, eat every bit of it, or save it for leftovers. Don't trash it because you're full. You'll get hungry again. Get every drop out of the bottle. Obtain the last ingredient of the bag and acquire the quality use of the clothes you buy. Obtain things in bulk. Reuse containers and get multiple uses out of commodities. Example, if I have a tub of, let's say, rice, when that tub is empty, I'll clean it out and now I'm going to use it and hold maybe cleaning product or tools and screws. Now, I don't have to buy a tool chest, even though tool chests are pretty cool, or any other container. Right now, I have my clipper guard submerged in alcohol inside a 30-ounce barrel formerly known as party mix. Live close to a membership grocery store? Take advantage of the free tire air. Instead of paying a few bucks and having to magically make quarters appear, get free air when needed. The good thing is you don't have to actually have a membership to pull up to the air dispenser. I once purchased a boat and had to dock it at a local marina. The monthly was like $150 for my 22-foot fishing boat. While at the marina, I would speak to the locals and discovered that a lot of them lived on their water vehicles. They had bigger boats than me, so the monthly payment was a little bit more, but not by much. They would brag about how much money they saved by not paying for an apartment/home rental or mortgage. Electric and water were included. I also think the harbor had pretty decent Wi-Fi, if I can remember correctly. Now, this is not an awesome way to be, quote, frugal. It's one hell of a lifestyle, though. Have you ever heard of hand-me-downs, quote? Well, I did mention it earlier. This is when something is passed down to a younger sibling or family member/friend, usually related to clothing. It's not a fashionable approach to saving money by not having to buy additional clothing because most of the items aren't a good fit. Be it as it may, At least the person isn't walking around naked. Unplug electric items when they aren't in use. Even when appliances are turned off, they still pull a certain amount of energy current from the wall outlet, so unplug them when you're done using them. This can lead to hundreds of dollars saved annually. Go to the movie theater a lot? Save by bringing your own snacks. When I would go on movie dates, I would use the person's purse that I go with to store all the goodies. Having my own snacks prevented trips to the concessions other than getting something to drink. But I had my bottled drinks on most occasions, so we skipped the snack counter altogether. The items I brought with me may have cost no more than $10. The same treats at the cinema would have been like $50. You get my point? So for those who enjoy out-of-the-house film entertainment, you could possibly save thousands per annum. Cable companies don't kill me, but get rid of cable. It's a drain on your pocket every month/yearly seeing thousands of dollars spent. Why? Streaming is the future. Actually, it's really the present/current. Just pay fraction of the cost of internet service and get so many more watching options. The only thing is the hassle of live TV for sporting events or award shows. Secure that you can download the app specific to your live TV fix and possibly pay a small monthly amount to have that service. There's also commodities like YouTube, who may have that live show for completely free. You can in addition watch antenna TV, which costs you nothing aside from buying a television and maybe an antenna. This for me would be way too boring, but some people can watch the local news, weather, talk shows, soap operas, and MASH all day. When I had only digital antenna tube, I noticed how my book collection grew. It was incentivizing to find entertainment within books. When books become a motion picture, you ever notice how the movie doesn't include some parts of the book in it? Well, that's a conversation for another day. When you go to the store and they give you plastic bags to hold what you've bought, save that bag for use later. Don't discard it. It's a bag. Use it again. Don't let your water run while you're at the sink or tub. When I'm brushing my teeth or washing up, I turn the water off when I don't need it. Yes, this includes lathering myself with soap. I told you this was the ridiculous section. For the trolls out there, stop it. Letting the water run freely is wasting water and adding to your water bill. Total.
I moved out from home when I was about 20 years old. At the beginning, I had roommates, and we would split an awesome rate of $675 per month. Utilities included, 3 ways for a townhouse. Everyone stuck to the plan, and we made it work.
This was extremely helpful to me, building my finances and saving. If you are super young and recently moved out on your own, this route could be helpful. Just know that sometimes personalities don't mix, so please know the people you're thinking about living with first. You don't want to be in a situation in which you've come up with a plan to develop a savings, but eventually have to use the money you save to bail yourself out. I was very fortunate to have roommates that were mature, understood respecting others, people's space. This was rare because we were all extremely young. However, after a year, my savings was stable enough to no longer need to have roommates. It's a great approach to take, but tread carefully. There are groups on local neighborhood apps and social apps that have people giving away unwanted things for free. For my rental properties, I have gotten water collection tanks, solar panels, huge industrial 50-gallon trash cans, fire pit, and so many more items that I didn't have to reach into the property budget for. It saved me a lot of money. The only thing I didn't like was meeting up with complete strangers. So a lot of times I would message them to just leave whatever the items were outside in the front, or I would do a porch pickup. Be active in the neighborhood and you just may find something you're searching for at no cost. When I'm not home, I utilize the thermostat app to adjust the temperature to a neutral level. When I'm on my way back home, I'll set the settings to be comfortable for me. I do this to keep energy costs low. If no one is home, what's the need to keep the house super cold or super warm? I've seen the bill come back depleted and more affordable the months that I've done this. Use free text and calling apps if you have a cell phone without the monthly/annual payment. You can go to the App Store on your mobile device, find the application, and download it. It gives you the ability to call and text anyone in your local country. Sometimes the service isn't the best, and it's hard to get verification text messages without signing up for a plan with the app. One thing with this option is that it only works when there is an internet connection or Wi-Fi. No Wi-Fi means no service. Other than that, it is a way to have a contract number untied to a major cell phone contract. Read those top seller books for free at the library instead of grabbing them. If you have a library card or access, you can find these same books in the information center. If they don't have it, just go up to the counter and request it. They might also have it available digitally. Just ask. Okay, don't trip on this one. You know how you have to let the water run a bit before the water heater kicks in and the aqua turns hot? Perfectly usable water gets wasted during this process. So to keep that water, place a bucket next to the faucet to collect it every time. You can use this excess water to water plants, wash something, etc. This will accurately help the utility from being atrophied. Have a large monthly food budget? I'd get those packs of noodles in bulk, about 2 to 3 dozen each pack for about $10. These are meal replacements and could be lunch and maybe even dinner for a month. Another thing, if you're someone that works in fast food, take advantage of the perks. When I was a teenager, I remember getting a free meal for each shift I worked while I was employed at a burger joint. I would just put a lot of overtime in, so I would eat at least twice daily for free. Food samples at the mall were always something I saw as free snack meals. Also, know that bulk store that has a free membership? They offer free samples of food throughout the whole warehouse. Also, keep the condiments that come in the bag with your food. In fact, I would ask for extra, one of each flavor, to avoid buying it at the grocery store. Most people throw away the bag when they're finished eating, but you pay for everything, including those small packets of sauces, spices, salad dressings, syrups, salt and peppers, relish, gravy, ketchup, mustards, horseradish, and sauces. Every time my bottle of ranch ran out, I would go to my Zest stash and it would always come through. When eating out, get a free glass of lemon made by asking for a glass of water with 2 lemon wedges. Add some sugar to it and you now have lemonade. When you're at work, I use all caps and bold text for the reason of emphasizing it's for work use only. Always help yourself to the free medicine, band-aids, and first aid kit. Don't take all of them, as they are co-workers you're in that space with. They're there for the employees. Also, the coffee, tea packs, and some workplaces have vitamin drink packs. I help myself too. Your place of work also freely provides you with supplies to help you better perform your tasks. Writing utensils, pads and papers, staples, tape, and so many other materials I used to never pay for because my office supplied them. Ask your job to confirm they are free before helping yourself, but most likely they will look at you weird. Still, obtain confirmation. I used to drive past a donut shop every day, and one day decided to stop in. One day turned into more than one day, and I developed a relationship with the staff, and they let me in on a secret. They told me that they get rid of dozens of donuts every night because they are considered day-old donuts, quote. These donuts were made that same day, but if they didn't sell, they would trash them, literally. Bag all of them up, walk them to the dumpster out back, and throw them in. I never again paid for a donut from that place. I would just arrive before closing time and ask for the donuts they were going to take out of the display. Some of them were still hot and fresh. You know, I had to devour those. And the dozens of donuts that were left, I would drive to a place where I knew homeless people were and would give the abundance of what was left of the delicious, round flavored pieces of bread to them. Quiet as kept, a lot of stores and shops have the same procedure with their unwanted food that didn't sell that day. Instead of letting it be trash, I would develop a genuine relationship with these workers and gain knowledge of the trash times to prevent perfectly good food from being disposed of and give it to people who would actually need something to eat. The food would last for days, maybe even the whole week. Another discovery I stumbled across, and this is a 2-part one. One time I had to go to a home improvement store to pick up materials for a rental property of mine. I walked to the back to have some wood picked out and learned that they cut the wood to specs for free. If you don't have or want to buy a circular saw, just have your lumber chopped at the store. Also, while in the back, I noticed a lot of wood being placed near the dumpster. I asked the clerk what that was, and they proceeded to tell me it was lumber considered, quote, damaged goods, and most of it would be destroyed. I went to inspect them, and the most damage I saw was maybe discoloration and a chip or crack at the end, which you can just cut off and keep the other 8 feet off. I kindly asked if I could have some of the lumber, and after manager approval, I left with enough of it to build a small shed. My point, when I needed to get items from the home improvement store, I take a trip there and first ask the necessary persons if they have any, quote, damaged products they were going to destroy before I actually buy those same items. If they do, I get them for free. Buy special event holiday gifts way ahead of the season. I like to start shopping for Christmas gifts sometime in spring. By the time fall comes, I have all the gifts already wrapped and good to go. During the holiday season, prices magically ascend and grab a hold on your pockets. Those, quote, holiday deals aren't actually deals. They're priced higher than what the place selling it paid for them. During the year, prices are bearish. Remember bearish. And take a tumble, and that's when I pounce. I use tissue and paper towels that are exactly the same as the higher price competition. Once again, as aforementioned in the book, sometimes when you pay more for something, it's because you're paying for the brand name. I did a mini experiment and purchased a bunch of these to see which was best for me and my needs, and I discovered extreme similarities between the well-known name products and their counterparts. I settled on those that were low price and did what I needed done. Get an air mattress instead of a regular one. A good air mattress runs between $65 to $120. This is for those that will last a good amount of time. That compared to the pricing of bed these days, you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. Just be careful when it's, quote, seduction time. Don't go too crazy because it's still an air mattress. I would take my own photos at events instead of hiring a photographer back in the day. Understand that at big events, who wants to be tasked with taking professional looking pictures? I do. Good pro photogs can cost thousands of dollars at gatherings like weddings, bar mitzvahs, etc. So I used to be my own memory capturer. A real hustler would charge others for those photos, but I never was a capitalist who takes advantage while holding hostage people from their valuable moments. Dedication. Thank you to my mother, my father, my love, my closest family and friends, and my mentors. Thank you for all of the support throughout the years and being part of my life. I love you all deeply. I also dedicate this book to everyone who feels that they can't climb the financial stability ladder. Whether you are a recent graduate and up to your eyeballs in debt, a struggling single parent, a small business owner / entrepreneur just starting out, someone who feels stuck in the revolving door of a career or job, a person carrying the weight of the ghosts of unstable financial decisions of your family's tree, or just simply you are looking to change the landscape of your economic development. I am here to let you know that you can accomplish anything you dedicate yourself to. About the author. Kingston A.V. developed a passion for business when he started selling pencils in elementary school. He would get the pencils for free as they were given to him from a family member who worked in the education field. That family member received the unwanted, unused supplies and materials from the schools and would give them to him. In Kingston School, pencil fighting was very popular among students at the time, and he knew his classmates would always need replacements. He saw this as a great opportunity to earn some extra lunch money. So for 25 cents each, he sold them. As a teenager, there was a brief moment where he, his mother, and 2 sisters were homeless for about a year. He would grow up to obtain a design engineering degree and had a near-decade career as a senior design engineer with experience in various disciplines of design. He eventually went into business for himself. and began investing in real estate and other investment ventures. Here he is 30 plus years later, after being the pencil connect, providing some basic knowledge of his business experiences. In life, sometimes your purpose finds you. Yarvente legend means that you can be any kind of legend you want to be. As long as you believe in your abilities, match that with work ethic, you can develop that legendary status. This book has been over 10 years in the making. Thanks for reading, and remember, be live, be real, be a legend.